Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
Joy to the world.
Yo, you know when you have conversations with somebody and then all of a sudden you hear la 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 la, no, we're not doing la 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 la. So
I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
The reason why I'm laughing, guys, is because
No, we're not talking about it.
all I'm saying is I brought something up to my man Tone over here, and he wouldn't even entertain it. He was like, la 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 la, I'm not listening. No, I'm not listening. No, we're not doing that.
I'm gonna take my headphones off. If you're, I'm just gonna take my headphones off.
That was great. Oh man,
people about it. You can talk to the people about it.
So like I said, what we did was earlier, like when we go about before the show, Tone and I, we come up with topics and we'll talk about stuff that we're going to talk about, throughout the course of the show. And, I'll bring certain things to him. Tone, I want to talk about this. Tone, I want to talk about that. And I brought something to Tone's attention. And, normally Tone is pretty receptive to stuff, when I bring stuff to him. I brought this particular topic to his attention, and immediately I got, nope, we're not doing that. And I was shut down. Like he was entertaining all the other stuff. Nope, I'm not doing that. So we're not talking about that. So that,
I understand you want to talk about Hakeem Olajuwon's birthday. Is that right?
I do. I do want to talk about the big fella. Yes, I do.
That's the one I didn't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about old guys no more.
So that was good stuff, man. I enjoyed that because Tone is pretty receptive.
Okay. If you want to talk about it,
no,
like
I said,
no, I got to deal with it. So if we need to talk about it, let's get
it's
it
up
out.
to you, Tone, because you already made it clear you don't want to talk about it. So
get it out of the way early. Let's just get it out of the way. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to start with that.
You don't want to start with that? Okay, start.
I don't want to start with that. I want to start by discussing that 62 years ago, we were blessed with arguably one of the greatest big men in NBA history, the great Hakeem Olajuwon. Today is his birthday. Today is
Would you call him? Let me interrupt. Would you call him the greatest two-way center of all time?
You can have a conversation about it. Him, Chamberlain, Shaq.
Chamberlain did not play defense like that. Neither did Shaq.
Well, Shaq was awesome. I mean, Chamberlain was an awesome defensive player. 100% he was.
I'm not saying they weren't, but none of them were getting 200 blocks, 100 steals.
Remember, they didn't count blocks and steals back then.
I understand that,
but there was a different incentive. Don't forget, Chamberlain
steals.
Well, he started making an all-league defensive team when it came out, which was Chamberlain is an opportunist. If Chamberlain is one thing, he's an opportunist. So when the all-league defensive team came out,
I think you mean stat patter.
I think that's an educated way of calling him a stat patter, because Chamberlain is definitely an opportunist. Yes, 100%. That's what he is. So if we're talking about it. So with that being said, if you think about, not even big man, Tone. Let's take the big man off the table and let's talk about just quote unquote two-way players, guys who are elite on the offensive and defensive side of the basketball.
Yeah,
I don't know of many that are better than him. Let's see, James, Jordan. I think that's as far as I'm going to go.
That might be the list. That might be the list. As far as I'm going, Tone. And it's interesting because some people don't even have Olajuwon in their top 10.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about basketball, we always forget about the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
But if we're talking about actual playing the game of basketball and on both ends of the court, he's in that conversation with James and Jordan.
Yes, he is 100%. And we had, I think we've had guys who were great quote unquote two-way players. Kawhi Leonard is a great two-way player. Chris Paul, Gary Payton, great two-way players. But when you're talking about a guy who was a combination of both of those things on an elite level for a long time, like I said, Tone, after James, Jordan, I mean, I could bring up Havlicek because I think Havlicek was an elite two-way player. He was elite on the defensive side of the ball too, and he was a bucket getter. But other than that, there's not many guys that I can really think of, Tone, that I can put in that kind of category.
Listen, if you're gonna say Havlicek, if you're gonna say Kawhi, then you're opening up the door to like Kobe and Duncan.
I forgot about damn. I didn't say Bryant.
And I purposely left. I purposely didn't say Bryant or Duncan, for the simple fact that when you look at those first three that we mentioned, I think there's a bit of a gap, right? Like Havlicek, part of his career was all coming off the bench. Kawhi, his career was just kind of broken up, and unfortunately, he didn't get to do, like, he did it in a nice chunk, but it was, he didn't have 8 consecutive years of doing it great. And so that's the tough one with Kawhi. He might be, we talk about a lot of what ifs. He might be a guy who not only did it, but also is a big what if.
Yeah.
Olajuwon, I think he gets discredited because, well, he played through an era where 2 guys made 10 straight finals. And then another era where another guy won 6 out of the 10. And he took, okay, we're going to talk about the last year or two, but in an 8-year stretch, another guy took 6, and the only other 2 was him in that 8-year stretch. So we talk about winning and it's important.
Yes.
But man, if we're just talking basketball,
yes, there's not many guys that's complete as him.
Complete, because not only offense and defense, you got guards, forwards, obviously centers, going to him to learn footwork to this day.
At 62 years old, Tone, I'm still doing it.
Going to him
60 years old.
Like I just saw a clip. I know I pick on her a little bit because she's fun to do, but I just saw a clip of Angel Reese, doing a dream shake, and everyone's like, "What the heck?" Like, that was a move he started 30 years ago.
Exactly. 35 years ago. And to your point, Tone, when we brought up Bryant, this is where I struggle, because I immediately think of when I think Jordan, especially when I bring up great players, like, I don't think to say Bryant because I already said Jordan. And I don't know if that makes sense, because if I bring up, because I feel like I don't think that they were.
If you say Jordan, it's almost implied that it's Kobe too, because he patterned.
Right. And I don't think I don't think that they were the same player.
No,
but with that being said, I feel like, but I don't want to leave him out neither.
No,
I don't want to do that.
At the end of the day,
he was a complete player too.
When we talk about Jordan in terms of accolades, we say, well, he made 9 all NBA first teams.
Yeah.
Well, he's tied with someone with that.
Bryant.
And his name's Kobe Bryant, and another.
Yes. So shout out to Duncan got 8 of them.
Who else has 9? There's 3 guys with 9.
See, Jordan. I think Gary Payton got 9 too.
Gary Payton.
I think he got 9 too. But shout out to Olajuwon. Olajuwon's still around. Word got out. This is what I'm talking about, Tone. When you and I had this conversation years ago, when I told you, when we talk about transcendent players, like how transcendent is your game, and the word got out that Olajuwon was teaching footwork, and the line was around the corner. Word got out that, hey, Hakeem Olajuwon is teaching footwork. Guys started signing up, and by the way, he had been removed from the NBA for 15 years. At that point, he had been removed from the NBA 10 years. At that point, and guys are lined up around the corner to learn. Can you teach me that? Bryant in particular. And the thing that I enjoyed about Bryant was that he wasn't afraid to ask questions and get knowledge from other guys. So Olajuwon is one of those guys where, he saw that footwork and, hey, can you teach me that? I'd like to learn that. And Olajuwon was like, come on down, sure.
Yeah, you never would have thought this watching him play. But if you watch as much Kobe interviews, those types of things, been around a lot of the guys who I always drive them nuts asking them about Kobe. Like I don't know if I ever told you this, like my sister-in-law's aunt was the woman that gave him his facials in LA. And I'm like, okay, so tell me, what did he say? Well, she's like, nothing. He was getting a facial. He was quiet. I'm like, no, you got to, what did he say about this? What did he say about? So like, I've asked a lot of questions. And so this is what one of the surprises was. He wasn't gifted athletically. Like we see him play and it's like, no, what are you talking about? He was in the dunk contest. He was this. No, everything that he had, even the bounce that he had, he's like, no, I worked for that. I had to put in a bunch of, get my legs stronger, to get my this, that. And you're like, what? No way. And it's like, no. And then you see him in details, how he explains the game. It's like, no, it's about angles. It's about, and that's why I'm not faster than anybody. It's just like, I took the right angle and that's why. And I'm like, damn. So like he actually had to put in, like, of all the guys in your top 11, he's probably the one who had to work the hardest to get to that point, because
probably him and Bird.
But Bird, I don't think it was natural for Bird neither, Tone. I don't think it was natural. No, but I don't think Bird did much. No one's going to ever accuse him of being an athlete. Right. He's athletic, don't get me wrong, because he played in the NBA, but no one's going to say, you know what I mean? In the sense that, yes, of course he had to work. I agree with you. But it wasn't like, he wasn't in a dunk contest. Yeah, of course he had to work on a shot, whatever. And yes. But other than that, but he was also gifted at 6'10". Yes. Right? So he, Olajuwon, 7'2". LeBron was touched by the hand of God, 6'9", 250, and could jump through the roof. Jordan, obviously, we know about we don't talk about his quickness either, but the quickness, his vertical, all that. If you look at all the guys, you probably have 6 out of your 10 are centers? Yes. Who are 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot? They didn't have to work for that. I wish if I knew the formula to get taller, we wouldn't be sitting here right now, would we? Be taller. Although he did have just a growth spurt. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. Did you see his highlight package I put together from this weekend? I did. Ladies and gentlemen, it was very impressive, because unlike his father, that wasn't for me. Okay, unlike his father, he will get off the pill. Okay, unlike his father, he's not a black hole. He's such a natural passer that I honestly, I don't feel I learned how to pass like the last 5 years, like playing in the men's league. Now I pass because I know I can't do it all anymore, and now I've learned to pass. Like it's just natural. Like it looked like it. He actually looking for guys. He looked like somebody that I want to play with. His father, on the other hand, not so much. No, he'll give me some open shots. But that was the thing about Kobe that was amazing, was that he worked so hard for all of that, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that piece of the game. Sure. I just think about go ahead. I just think about him asking, because we were talking about Olajuwon. I mean, that's what this is about, and I just think that it's awesome that guys reached out to him. That I think that was just a testament to how respected he was. I mean, Olajuwon. Bryant, James, Carmelo Anthony, Stoudemire, Dwight Howard. I mean, the list goes on of guys, Giannis, of guys who went to see him to learn footwork. Okay, can you teach me that? Yes, I can teach you this. Come on down. I'll show you what I learned. That's why I think it's mandatory to play in the NBA. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this. To play in the NBA, you have to get an associate's degree. Do you know what an associate's degree is? Do you know? It's a 2-year program. Did you? Okay. It's a 2-year program. And I feel like you have to go, if you want to play in the National Basketball Association, which all the teams are in the US with the exception of one, unless Trump has his way, then all 30 will be in the connecting Canada too. We're gonna put y'all on. Let's come 51st state. You have to get an associate. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying you have to, but we have to force the coaches to teach fundamentals, because the reason they had to go to a 50, now 60-year-old guy is because none of their coaches in AAU, I put an extra A there. None of their coaches in AAU teach them fundamentals. None of their coaches in college or wherever teach them fundamentals. And that's why you have guys like Jokic and Luka who are being taught fundamentals, because they start playing at a young age with adults who are like, you have to learn this. That's why they're able to be unathletic. I use the term loosely, and dominating. It's because, well, I don't have to be faster than you. If I was just, I don't want to go off on a tangent on something else, so I'll stop there and just say that's the piece that I think is missing. Because if you take all of these supreme athletes and add just a dash, that's what I'm not saying. I'm not huge, a dash of footwork, kind of fundamental stuff. I think that helps with your thing of finding a face of the league, but I think that helps with the entertainment value and the game.
Yes,
because those little things that if it's just up and down, shoot three, dunk, up and down, shoot three. I think that's where it's lost a little entertainment value. Whereas I'm not saying anyone's, more entertained by a drop step, but at the same time, there are certain things you can do.
You're right.
That you can't do when you don't have the fundamentals. And I'll get off my high horse and my old head, whatever. But
I don't know if it's, to be honest with you, Tone, I don't think it's old head. My mom would always tell me, it's easy to call somebody dumb when you already know the answers to the test. Well, how do you get the answers to the test? By learning. And there's a reason, like to your point, why Luka came into the league. Okay, because I already know how to do this. And it was probably surprising to him, just like it was to Bird, how many of these guys didn't know how to do this. I'm going to be fine. You don't know how to do this? You don't know how to do that? Okay, I'll be just fine, because the majority of these guys don't know how to play basketball. They're great athletes, but they don't know how to play basketball. I remember Amari Stoudemire saying, this was him quoting, "Nobody ever taught me how to play defense." I'm thinking to myself, how are you a pro and you are that awesome and you never learned how to play defense? How is that possible? Like you don't know positioning, you don't know footwork, any of that sort of stuff. That's incredible to me.
Jordan, who probably had one of the best teachers ever, in Dean Smith, said something that I thought it kind of blew my mind when I heard it. So they're like, this was during his playing days. Why do you enjoy playing golf so much? And he says there's times in a basketball game where you're not fully engaged and focused, but your athleticism, he goes, will get me through. Right? Like, so I can catch the ball in the wing, not really paying attention, drive and jump over someone. He goes, but in golf, if you lose focus of kind of mental and the fundamentals of everything, forget it. You're in the trees, you're in the pond, it's horrible. And I think that's why I found, when he said, I was like, no way. And then I went out and played golf and went, oh yeah, he's right. And so that's the thing where I say, I think that's the problem, is now we get away with the athleticism. And
I understand that. Yeah, I do understand that. So shout out to Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah,
happy 62nd birthday. And I like the fact that Bryant went to go see him. So since we're on the subject of Bryant, Tone, since we're on that subject, I mean, is there something that we have specific that we want to talk about today when it comes to Bryant?
I got it. Yeah, and when you sent it to me, or when I saw, because I actually saw it too before you sent it, and I'm like, why is this? We're having this debate. How are we having a debate if SGA, is it who's better, or are people saying SGA is better?
No, it's actually it's more of a who is better conversation right now. And I think it's interesting that, certain people, not certain people, I think it's interesting how people see this and immediately this isn't a conversation, when I don't think it's a conversation, but I'm not going off what everything that Bryant did. I'm not doing that. I'm going off of Bryant in year 7. That's who I'm going off of right now, Tone. And on top of that, the idea that we don't compare players, right? The idea, what up, young fella? What's going on, brother?
He's been sick.
Uh-oh. You under the weather?
As you can see.
I don't want none of your germs. Chill out.
Say good night, Unc. Chill. You're going to bed? No. Or you're not going to bed? Oh, okay. You're gonna go watch some movies? Okay.
Get some rest, man. But like I was saying, Tone, I think I think what gets lost is we've done this in the past with players. We compared Is Jordan better than Doc? Is Shaq better than Jabbar? And this was before Shaq turned into who Shaq was. I mean, Shaq was a top 50 player in 1996. He was only in year 4. That was it. He was only in year 4, and he was considered a top 50 player all time. That was going on. So I don't want to. What I don't want to do is I don't want to act like we don't compare players like we've done in the past. Like this is something that's new. No, we've done this in the past. However, when I think about what Bryant did in up until year 7 and what SGA is doing right now, I don't think that these two guys are comparable considering who Bryant was. That was the 02-03 season, which was year 7 for Bryant. That was the year that they lost to San Antonio. And of all the stuff that SGA is doing, because Tone, what I will do is I'll give you some insight on SGA. Sure. 35-5, 2 steals in the block. Jordan and Dwayne Wade, the only two guards could say that they did that. That was it. Jordan won the league MVP, and there's some people who think Dwayne Wade should have won the league MVP in 08-09. You'd be wrong. You would 100% be you'd be wrong, but there's some people who think that he should have won the league MVP. Also, SGA averaging 30 a game on a 15-game winning streak. There's only three other players who did that. It's Jordan in 95-96. It was Curry in his 15-16 season, and it was James Harden. All 3 of them dudes won the league MVP. So on some level, SGA is fantastic, and I won't argue that. However, what Bryant was in year 7, that was the 02-03 season. I could, and again, what I don't want to do is I don't want to go past year 7 because that's all we at right now. I ain't talking about SGA compared to Bryant for his career. No, I'm not doing that because those two things aren't close in my estimation. From year 7, I will stop the conversation with Bryant was going to court during the day and getting on a plane that same day and coming back to the Staples Center and giving you 37-6. That was the same season. He had 9 straight 40-point games. Can't nobody else in the history of the NBA say that they did that. I think Chamberlain. Yeah, I think Chamberlain did that. Yeah, Chamberlain's the only other guy who did that. With that being said, Bryant as a player in 2002, 2003, I don't think he's comparable to SGA. But I don't want to get away from the fact that we do compare players who haven't done as much as this other guy has done. I'm just going off what was going on with Bryant in year 7 and what's going on with SGA in year 7.
Now, if you're going to say to this point in their careers, year 7 versus year 7, I still don't think it's a conversation, but I'll entertain it enough to say, okay, let's have it. When I first heard it and I thought, are you crazy? Like when you're looking at one career that's 7 years versus a 20-year career. Right. What are you smoking? And that was my initial reaction, but I was like, okay, it's out here for a reason.
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
And I'm like, okay, fine. Year 7 versus year 7. Because that, I will say, we do have that conversation. We do say, look at Luka in year 5 versus what LeBron did in year 5. We absolutely looked at Dwight Howard after the first 3-4 years in Orlando and went, oh, this might be the greatest center of all time. This is why I tell you guys, I don't rank active players. One exception. One guy. That's it. I don't rank active players because so much can happen in their careers. Yes, his trajectory looks great. Awesome. However, you're also comparing, if you're comparing year 7, you're comparing a 26-year-old SGA to a 24-year-old Kobe.
2 years younger.
You're comparing numbers of a guy who's 31-5-5, I think you said is
35-5.
31-5-5.
Yeah, 31-5-5, sure.
And Kobe was 36-7 or 37-6, depending which direction you go to.
Sure.
In a era, that year, by the way, 02-03 was the lowest scoring season of the NBA on average in like 100 years. It was the year after that, if you recall, or 2 years after that, they abolished the hand checking. They and points per game go up like 3, 4, 5 points per game, which people say, well, that's not a lot. No, when you go from 92 to 97 points per game, that is a huge deal. When 30 teams do it on average,
yes,
it's a lot more score. So he did those. So that's the other part. He did it in a very defensive, slow-paced, low-scoring era. So I don't, I'm not a numbers guy anyways, but I don't look, it's not, I love SGA from Canada. He's doing he is keeping or putting, however you want to look at it, OKC in contention to win a title. That is a huge deal when it's a small market team. Yes, there are still small market teams. He's phenomenal. Love the way he plays. But if we're going to compare who does more for their team, who's a better defender, who's a this, that, all that, that's why so many people in the comments are like, you guys are nuts. What are you talking? There's troll alert. No, because there's a legit, you sent it to me and I saw it myself, and I'll show it to the people that don't know. Like, there is a legit thing out there, if I may, bear with me a moment.
Yep.
There is a heated debate right now. This is what it says. There's a heated debate right now. Who is a better player? It shouldn't be. The only reason it should be heated is because everyone's going, what the hell are you smoking?
Right. Because, and again, I think
no disrespect to SGA. No disrespect.
Tony, how many times I've had to have this conversation, Chill, who better, LeBron James in year 5 or Luka in year 5? And thinking about what James did in year 5. So or how good was Luka in year 6 compared to James in year 6? What did James do in addition to what Luka did? Who was the better player? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're not doing this. No, we're not. As good as Luka is, no, we're not doing this.
No, I disagree in the sense that I'm okay comparing the trajectory, right? As long as it's you're having.
That's not what it is, though, Tone. No, that's not what it is.
I know, but that's what I say. If you add common sense to it and say, hey, did you know that Luka in his first 5 years has scored more points, has more assists, and more rebounds than LeBron had in his first 5 years? I get it that the errors are different, this, that, but it's pretty amazing. Like, if he keeps this pace up, like, we're going to have a conversation about Luka in another 5-10 years. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's amazing what he's doing, considering his game is so much based on his fundamentals and the other things, whereas LeBron early on was very much the athleticism, right? So that's cool if that's the comparison. If you're saying, well, Luka's better than LeBron because he averaged more, or he has more points and whatever than he, well, no. Oh, he's going to score 45,000 points because if he does this for another 15 years, no,
that's not the case.
Because I fell for that trap with Dwight Howard, and I tell people all the time, that's when I stopped. By the way, that's when I stopped ranking active players in my top 10, top 20, top whatever, is when I got burnt by Dwight Howard. And I said, I'm never going to do it again.
Because that was, I think, in year 5 with Howard in 2009 when they went to the finals. Yeah, I think he was in year 5 at that point. And I don't think it was a question, you considering who the big guys were in the game at that point, even though it was a weird transition because we were moving away from the big guy and we were moving away from the big guy and we were moving toward the perimeter. So wings and guards and the 3-ball was becoming more prevalent. So with that being said, Dwight Howard, for all intents and purposes, the big man was going away, but he was still hands down the best big man in the league because we still did have big guys in the league. That was going on. We still had big guys in the league. However, his career went the other way. Like, we get to like 2012, 2013, he ended up with a back problem. So that's only like 8 years, right? 8-9 years where he's awesome. Then he has a back problem, and then he starts to slow himself down. Then he's got problems with teammates and things like that. And then that's where it becomes
we fall in love. We fall in love too
that's
quick.
Where it got tricky. Yeah, that's where it got tricky, Tone.
And I stopped falling in love because, like I said, it's just especially if it's our favorite team, occasionally I fall in love, but that's a whole nother conversation.
But you could be in love though, Tone. I don't think that
but it's not.
Just because I'm in love with you does not mean that we gotta get married right now. Let's hold on. Hang on.
Well, there you go. Like, that's why I say when you see people in like year 2 and year 3, and they're like, oh, this person's gonna be, no, whoa, pump the brakes. Brakes. You just met her. Yeah, dinner was great. She said all the right things. She watched football and didn't care that you farted. That's cool. Let's see if that's the same in a month. You know what I mean? Like that's all I'm saying is, if to your point, if it's to this point in their careers, I still don't like it. Let's be clear. But I understand you know, because that's what we do now.
Yes, we do.
Yes, right. Like we can't just look at a player and say, wow, this player's awesome. This player's doing amazing. This is blah, blah. We don't do that. We say, well, yeah, he's great, but this person's better.
Well, let me ask you this question, Tone, to your point. Before I brought this to you, and you said you had seen it even before I brought this to you, did this ever cross your mind?
No.
Me neither.
I saw it on X and I just went,
never crossed my mind.
Where's Donald Trump? What's he saying?
Right. Never crossed my mind. Not one time.
There's no way.
Never crossed my mind.
And listen, when I say I saw it before, I saw it like earlier in the day. Like I didn't see it yesterday or no. I saw it and I just, what are they talking about? And then when you sent it, I'm like, no, this is a real thing. What? No.
Yeah.
And look, some of it's just where we are as a society. Like we're making up stuff to argue about, but this isn't.
No, this is not
like,
it. No.
It needs to be addressed, but no.
And again, that's why it needs to be addressed, so we can stop this.
Yeah.
For that reason right there. I don't think this is something that can go on for a long time. And really quickly, Tasha, you can really quickly handle this by just leaving. You don't have to be here. If Tasha, if you don't want to be here, you could go. Ain't nobody making you be here. Nobody. We're here. This is a sports network. Me and my man Tony Tone, we talk basketball. This is what we do around here. If you don't want to, if you don't want to be involved in it, pick at the door. You could go.
What is banned? What is banned YouTube?
Yeah, I mean you can go. Yeah, you don't have to stay here. But I do think this, to be honest with you, Tone, I do think that this conversation is necessary to shut it down. That's why I think this conversation is necessary. I think this conversation is necessary for that reason and that reason alone, to shut this down. So we can stop talking about this. All right, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it, and let's get to the bottom of it. Let's end it right here.
You're going to say I'm biased. I get it. I get it. You're going to say I'm biased, but I haven't seen one person I haven't seen one person say that it makes sense to do this comparison. But also, you be my keeping me honest. Do I allow my bias or my favorites when we talk about, with the exception of the Lakers as a whole, when we talk about individual players? Am I not fairly fair to the players when we're having a serious conversation, not when I'm trolling?
When it comes,
when I'm trolling, that's different.
When it comes to Magic, my man Tone, it's a difficult thing, but he comes off of it. Yes,
Magic is the Magic. No, see, here's the thing. Magic is the exception, kind of, because I will still admit there was tragic magic. That happened. That was a real thing that broke my heart. So, he didn't play long enough. We both agree, if he never is diagnosed or has HIV, he's probably in the GOAT conversation. Yes, and it breaks my heart that happened and he's not. But we can honestly say he had limited defensive skills. He wasn't, when he came into the league, he got better, but when he came into the league, he wasn't a very good shooter. Like, in fact, he was probably a bad shooter, which is why he posted up so much. There was the tragic magic, where he just froze in critical moments and like I said, broke my heart. But I don't want to bring those things up, but if we're having a conversation about it, it needs to be brought up. So just because you see Kobe in behind me, I'll tell you, look, I actually took it down. Oh, I covered the helmet. I put an NBA book here. You can't see it, but I covered my Bears helmet. They stink. Great job, by the way. 30 seconds. Ben Johnson, I hope he's as advertised, because if he's another Matt Nagy, the good thing is he's not coming. He's coming. Yeah, I'd show him the door, but he's coming from Jared Goff, who's not Patrick Mahomes. Who's not Patrick Mahomes, but that's that. We actually have a football super chat. Do you want to continue with anything?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's discuss that. Sure. Because
I actually love the super chat because it proves that I should have stuck to my gut before we made our picks last week. By the way, I was 3-1. I had Kansas City, Buffalo, and the Eagles. So I was wrong on Detroit versus Washington, but a caveat in a second. You were 2-2 because you had Baltimore and Detroit lost. But then you had Philadelphia and Kansas City. So you were 2-2. I was 3-1. But what did I tell you before we made our picks? I said I had Washington going to the NFC Championship game, and then I went, oh no, they're playing Detroit.
Yep.
I can't pick against Detroit. But Detroited.
Yes, they 100% did.
Detroit Detroited, yes, which did. I hate because I want them to be good. But to the super chat from Sports PSP, Jaden Daniels having the best rookie season ever. Well, let me put it to you this way. There's no reason, unless you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, there's no reason to believe that Washington isn't playing good enough to beat the Eagles. Okay, we'll get to picks at the end, but they are playing good enough to beat them, which would make him. Do you know what number on the list he would be of quarterbacks making rookie quarterbacks making the Super Bowl?
Rookie quarterbacks making the bowl game. There's a difference between a rookie quarterback and a guy who started.
Correct.
Those two things are not the same thing.
First year in the league.
When I think about rookie quarterbacks, I believe he is numero uno.
You just made the list.
Yes, sir.
That is the list. It would be Jaden It would be Jaden Daniels. Not only would he be the first rookie quarterback to make a Super Bowl, if they make it, I'd put my money on him to win it. And two, he's also the rookie quarterback responsible for starting or breaking the hearts of every Chicago Bear fan. And that Hail Mary was the first loss in what started a team that went 4-2. After that, Hail Mary, they were 4-12.
10 straight losses after that.
So I have nothing but this. He looks like he's going to get snapped in half every play, and he doesn't. I'm so glad that he has just been healthy and the poise this kid has. Like, you see him super pressure moments, and he's just like, "Yep, let's go." Like, it's unbelievable.
I'm thinking about rookies, and Barry Sanders was pretty awesome his rookie season. Emmitt Smith ran for 1,000 yards his rookie season. Let's see, rookies. I'm thinking about defensive players. I think Ray Lewis. I want to say Ray Lewis made the All-Pro team. Not Ray Lewis. I'm sorry. I think Lawrence Taylor made the All-Pro team as a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. And if he didn't, he definitely made it in year. I think he was close to making it. And I think he made it in year 2. When I think now, and if you say the best rookie season ever, I mean, Dan Marino was pretty awesome as a rook. So
people forget Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck was awesome as a rook.
Andrew Luck was awesome. Actually, even RG3 as a rookie.
Yes, he was rookie of the year. Yeah,
him and Cam Newton kind of. CJ Stroud last year. But like, they didn't get this kid's one win away from going to the Super Bowl.
Right. One win away from going to the Super Bowl. And by the way, can we not just let's chill out? As good as Jaden Daniels is, because he's fantastic.
Why do I keep wanting to call him McDaniel?
Because Jaden McDaniels plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's why. And yeah, that's exactly why. But with that being said, Jaden Daniels is awesome. But can we not forget, Washington got a good team. They got a good receiving core. Yeah. They got a good defense. They got a damn good pass rush. That's a damn good team in Washington. And I think they split with Philly throughout the season. And that NFC East.
NFC East. It's an NFC East NFC championship.
Yeah, that NFC East isn't as bad. It's not the NFC least. Let's get to the bottom of that, because the Cowboys Cowboys are so they throw a monkey wrench in, and the Giants. Don't even get me started on the Giants, because I couldn't have been more wrong about them. But
can we pause there so I can remind you? I called him Danny No Dimes. You thought he was the future, and now he's not even on the team anymore.
I did. I thought he was the future of the crew, and I'm listening to the Giant brass come out and tell me, quote, "We've done everything possible to screw this kid up," end quote. They said that. So I'm thinking, all right, we're going to rectify this. We're going to go get this kid an offensive line. We're going to get this kid some wide receivers. And, Danny Dimes is not a self-proclaimed name. He can throw the football, and he's pretty athletic. I couldn't have been more wrong about him.
We'll do one more super chat and then we'll get to the next. What's good? What's up, Sir Darko the Third? Hope all is well.
Yep.
Quick question: what is an underrated quality for an all-time great? I.e., I think Shaq is an underrated passer.
An underrated quality from an all-time great. Consistency. That's an underrated quality. And the reason why it's underrated because people don't talk about it nearly as much. In fact, when I hear people talk about all-time greats, when you talk about guys being great scorers or a guy being a great rebound, that's a longevity stat. You know how hard it is to do something like that on the regular and keep doing it and consistently do it, right? Keep doing it. And that's hard to do. That is hard to keep doing that. Keep showing up. Stay healthy. Take care of your body. And consistently do and continuously do your job night in, night out. I don't think that that's talked about nearly as much.
This probably goes into the realm of consistency. But I always think it's and this is my thing, what I say with I said to you about Tatum multiple times, what he needs to do to take the next step, and it's floor. And what I mean by floor is that, so that's part of that. Oh, sorry. Good night. Love you.
Okay. Hello, dear.
Floor meaning, so part of that goes to consistency, right? That's cool that you can drop 40, 12, and 8 on any given night, but I can't have you give me 12, 5, and 3.
What can I get from you on a Tuesday?
Yeah, I need you to bring that floor up. So if you're, so for a superstar player or an all-time great, it's, hey, even when they stink, they're going to give you 28 and 6, 22, 9 and 4, whatever that is, because each one has a different skill set, right? It's what are they going to do on their worst night? And if you bring up that floor, those are the ones, like I think there's a stat. I think the last time LeBron James scored under 10 points was 2007 or some nonsense, like it was 100 years ago. Jordan never had a playoff game that he didn't drop 15 or more. Like those are the things that's just like, oh, okay. So even if it's that floor that you bring up, and that's what, remember I told you early on in Tatum's days, is he drives me nuts because one day he's going to do this, then he's going to do this, then he's going to go 3 games like this, and then right. And if I kept telling you, if he brings that floor up to make him more kind of consistent with that bottom part of his game, that's where when he's going to take the next step. So that's what I would say is, now if you mean specific skill, so let's not completely ignore that. I would say it would be the thing that they're not known for, right? Like if I don't know, like I don't know, pick a superstar. If Steph, who you know is going to go out there and shoot a bunch of threes, right? But he also led the league in steals a couple of times. So there's some sneaky stuff that he can do for you defensively every once in a while. Like those are the ones that I think you never talk about them. Dwayne Wade. I don't think there's a guard who's blocked more shots than Dwayne Wade. Not something you expect. Not something you would expect from a 6'3" guard or 6'2" guard. That 100%, because when people block shots, it's a lot of times not about the ones that you block. It's about the ones that you make them adjust and change their shot. Okay.
Looks like the Phoenix Suns are setting themselves up, Tone.
What happened? What'd I miss?
The Phoenix Suns are trading their 2031 unprotected first-round pick to the Jazz for 3 ones. The Suns are acquiring the least favorable firsts in the 2025. Cleveland, Minnesota. Those 3 ones that Minnesota gave to Utah, it looks like they're getting them. And I think that they're trying to do this so they could get Jimmy Butler.
And where does Beal go?
Well, it's I think we're going to get a 3rd team involved in this. That's what it looks like.
I do know there's a 3rd team involved.
Yeah,
I know like they're going to get there's a 3rd team involved, and you know who it is?
I don't.
The Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors are involved in this.
I have it on very good authority. They have stuck their nose into the Jimmy Butler trade talks and basically have said, hey, how can we assist in and I think it'll probably be centered around them getting some draft picks and moving Bruce Brown, because I think Bruce Brown is a piece that a contending or wannabe contending team is going to.
I can appreciate that.
You could use, right?
Yeah, I can appreciate why Toronto will want to get involved. They want to get involved off the strength of them unloading Bruce Brown. They might want to, because I don't think that they're going to get. I don't think that they aren't getting Jimmy Butler, and I get that part. I also think that they want to strengthen their team. It looks like they're building that unit around Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett.
What a terrible decision.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, and quickly. That's what it looks like. That's who it looks like they're building their unit around. So if that's the case, what we plan on doing is we got to get draft picks. We need another big man. We need another big in here. As much as I like Pirtle, I think they need another big man in there.
Let's be honest. They need a big. They don't have a start. I actually like Pirtle, and he's 70% from the field or something nonsense like that.
Right.
He can't be your starting center. Like, he's good to come in and give you some minutes and do some stuff.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of guys who I think would be good role players off the bench, and a couple of guys who like Barnes. I know we had this discussion when we did the playback, but Barnes is not a franchise number one if you're going to be a championship contending team. I'm sorry, I have to do some admin work here. There's a lot. We seem to have a lot of
trolls in here.
Not even bot traffic today. So if you see me stop mid sentence and go over here, I apologize.
Yep.
We used to have mods. What happened to our mods? Where'd you guys go? I missed you guys.
I don't know. Yeah,
they were so good at doing that before. So to kind of cap it off, SGA Kobe, no, it's not a conversation.
But it's a necessary conversation to shut it down. That's why.
Yeah, I agree.
We had to have this conversation so we can end this. Like, let's not do this. This is not something that's real. No, we're not doing this right now. I don't think so. No.
And speaking of a conversation we need to have to end it, this is going to be a short one.
Since the age of 15.
That, my friends, is not Michael Jordan getting dunked on by LeBron James. Here's how I know. This gentleman has hair.
Right.
At the age of 38, Michael Jordan was clearly bald. Right. So let's get that out of the way. Have you been hearing this nonsense ever since LeBron went on with the Kelsey brothers and said he dominated at the hoops?
Yeah.
I
mean, is it ridiculous to think that a kid could come in a grunt? Let's see, James is 16 at the time, so that's probably 2000.
It's 2001 in Chicago, the summer of 2001. I was there, staying at the Loop. I was on the outskirts of that pickup game. I could see in through the window, and so I was there, but I wasn't there. If that makes sense. And I got listen. I had. You know me, I know the right people, and I shake the right hands and kiss the right baby. I got to stand in a corner, and I be honest with you, didn't even know LeBron James was there.
You didn't even know who he was.
Didn't really know who he was in this. Yeah, like I didn't. You know me, I don't follow high school basketball. I was a working man who loved basketball, and I was in Chicago, and I was staying at a hotel nearby. I don't know. Do you know the Loop in Chicago? I don't know. Okay. So I was close enough, right? And I'll say this: I was trying to get a glimpse of Jordan and Chuck and all those. How does this go? Watch him play. I was past the age where I could have gone in and played it, took up a few shots. They wouldn't have let me. They would have kicked me on my ass. But there was no one that looked out of place. So this is why I say he clearly was great at 16 because he didn't. There was no one that you're like, why is that kid on the court with these men? No one said that. No one had that conversation. I find it interesting that Maverick Carter a few years ago, who's his business partner, said, and I reiterated what I had heard, what I kind of saw, and what he said, which was they didn't let him play because they didn't let any of the young guys play until the end, when the older guys were tired and they were coming off. And he said, and I quote, he couldn't keep up defensively, but the one thing he could do, which is why they let him on the court, was he could pass, and he scored a couple of buckets. He did. The biggest praise he gave was he didn't look out of place. So if you're a 16-year-old playing with NBA pros and you don't look out of place, it's kind of like when I say my biggest nod to LeBron is to say, I don't rank active players, and I have an active player at number 2 all time. And people call that hate, but at the same time, I think that's the biggest compliment.
Considering he doesn't even rank active players, and he's only got one, and he's got him at the top of the list.
Yeah. So to me, I think that's praise enough to say,
yeah,
he was playing with NBA pros and didn't look out of place.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, Tone. It is.
That's huge. But let's not make it something it's not. He didn't go cook Stackhouse, who was guarding him, by the way. He didn't go. He didn't dunk on Jordan like this, and that's where I think. And this is why I love the fact that I'm a Magic and Kobe guy. I'm not a Jordan guy. This is where I think Jordan fans though have the biggest issue with LeBron fans. If Jordan fans feel LeBron fans have to lie and make up stories to boost him up, like this one,
right?
And that's why they don't believe anything about him. And it's too bad because and I will say this, if Jordan fans watched and appreciated how great LeBron James was, if LeBron fans watched and appreciated how great Michael Jordan was, we would be in a much better world right now. The fact that all we're trying to do is poke holes in each of them, and look, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, I do it and I do it well. And I piss you off because every time I do it on Instagram, it gets like 10 million views. And I get paid for views. So thank you very much. Because it's so easy, because they're so like, you even did it. You even fell for it on TikTok. I said 7-game sweeps. LeBron 3, KD 2, Jordan and Curry 0 in a 7-game series. And no one could just say, yeah, that's true, and just move on. No, but why not 5 games? No, I was talking about 7 games. You want to see all time? We'll do all time later. And they went, YouTube right now, I think it's at 10,000, and everyone's losing their minds. You're a jerk. You're a problem. Thank you. That's exactly what I. But if we just watched them really and just watched, like, man.
Hey, you know what? I've got this water.
I actually don't have any water. I might actually leave and go get the water. So that's the GOAT debate. We're not talking about the GOAT debate, but
sure,
I do want to talk about rivalries.
Yes, let's do that.
Actual rivalries. So this is rivalry week.
Started yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, started yesterday.
Are there any rivalries still in the NBA?
I don't think so, Tone. I don't. I think these rivalries are fabricated. I think that they are fluff. I don't think that there's actual disdain for one another. That's number one. Number two, I got a different idea about a rivalry. See, like the Lakers and the Celtics, that didn't become a rivalry until 1985. And the reason why it didn't become a rivalry until 1985 is because it's not a rivalry if you keep losing. Until you beat me, it's not a rivalry. We own you. And up until 1985, as heated as it was, as great as the basketball was, the Celtics-Lakers rivalry didn't become a legit rivalry until 1985 when they actually beat them. Up until that point, they were 7-0 against the Lakers. Remember, Tone, I think the Celtics have going into the 84-85 season, I think they have, because they won 2 more after that. So they have I think they have 17 now, and the Lakers have 18. Or is that it? Because I know the Celtics, they just got
what are you asking?
Yeah, the Celtics just got banner number 18.
Yeah. The Celtics have 18. The Lakers have 17.
Right.
Although I am doing a little bit. I don't know if you want a sneak peek, but I am doing a little bit of a comparison because Stephen A. Smith said something that was very dumb, and he said, "Well, the Lakers are a better franchise because they've been to more finals. And I was like, nah. I agree that the Lakers are a better franchise, but it's not because they've been to more finals. They're a better franchise because although the Celtics have 18 rings to their 17, post-merger, that's the ABA and NBA, the Lakers have 11, the Celtics have 5. So a lot of players weren't in the NBA, they were in the ABA. Well, I'd actually even eliminate, which eliminates the Minneapolis Lakers one, because a lot of people say that doesn't count either. But here's the other interesting part. In the history of the NBA Finals, do you know how many, in their 18 rings for the Celtics, 17 for the Lakers, do you know how many series the Celtics had to win those 18 rings?
Let's see. So, no, I don't. No, not off the top of my head, Tone. I don't. 49, because the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So that's pretty much most of Russell's 11. They only had to win one round to make it to the finals. So they actually only had to win 2 rounds of playoffs to win a championship. Right.
So 49 to the Lakers, who won one less title, but won 59 playoff series just in the title runs. Right. Not including any, just in the title. So you had to win 10 more rounds to get. So that's almost like, if you think about it, if right now it's 4 rounds to win, that's 2.5 titles in series wins that they had to win.
But the Lakers were around. But keep going.
Yeah. Since the merger, I already mentioned it's 11-5. The Celtics have won to their 5 championships, 19 series. The Lakers 42. So if
since
you're
1977,
that
was when the merger was 76-77 season.
Yeah, if you break it down by decade, right, in the 40s, it's 2 for the Celtics, 5 for the Lakers. The 60s was really where this difference is, right? 9-0 in the 60s, Celtics to Lakers. The 70s, it was 2-1. We pretty much had a different champion
every year.
Time. The 80s was 5-3 in favor of the Lakers. The 90s,
0 for both of them.
2000s was 4-1 Lakers. The 10s 1-0 Lakers. The 20s 1-1.
Right.
So if you go all time, you're gonna probably go Celtics. They didn't move, and they had a decade that they dominated. But if I'm not saying eliminate, you shouldn't. But if you look at some other factors, how many Hall of Famers, those other things, just think about it. I think I said this to you before, and then we'll get back to the rivalries in a second. Of most people's top 10, 6 of them, I think, on average, played, depending on your list,
the Celtics
played for the Lakers. 6 of 10, and you probably have 1, maybe 2. Bird and Russell are probably the only 2 that crack most people's top 10.
Right.
But you got LeBron, you got Kareem, you got Magic, you got Shaq. Most people have Kobe. And then it depends who else you have there.
That's still with half my list. That's still Celtics and Lakers. But that being
had them both. Yeah.
That's half my list. But to compound your point, in in 1985, when the Celtics meet the Lakers in the finals, up until that point, the Celtics have 15 NBA championships.
Yes, they
7 of them came against the Lakers. That's half.
They had our number. That's
half. So I'm not sure if this is really a rivalry, because that's
why Jerry West isn't considered one of the top 10 players of all time. That's the only reason.
Jerry West said, "I will die before I watch the Celtics win it again. I won't do it. I will die first." And he passed away. No, I can't watch them win it again. No, I'm not. I will not watch them win the NBA championship again. Hell no.
I can't take it. Listen, you know how hard it was for me to tell you I think they're going to repeat this year? Broke my damn heart.
Which, on top of that, I don't know if y'all know this, but after Jerry West retired, just so you know, he never came back to the Boston Garden ever. Never came back there, not one time. But to get back to to rivalries. Tone, to answer your question, no. I think a lot of it is fluff. I think a lot of it is fabricated. I don't think that there's a genuine disdain for people. If I'm being honest with you, Tone, I don't think that there's that honest. Like
I think there's a couple. Like I think Luka and Book.
I think Luka and Book. There might be some annoyance there, but Luka and Book ain't Jordan and Isaiah Thomas. Where I really don't like that dude.
Right.
I don't want to be around that dude.
But that wasn't really a rivalry either, because the Celtics
wasn't
every single year, and then once the Bulls beat them, they were done.
Same thing with the Pistons, and same thing with the Pistons and the Detroit Pistons. Bill Laimbeer and Larry Bird. I don't want to be around that dude.
Celtics. You said Pistons and Pistons. You mean Celtics?
Celtics and Pistons. I apologize. I don't want to be around that dude. Keep that dude away from me. There's a real disdain. I don't think that these dudes have a real disdain for each other. Like James didn't. I don't think James had a disdain for Curry. I don't think so. I don't think he like Magic had a disdain for Bird. They got close as the years went on. I feel like they had gotten closer as the years went on, and they got closer to the end of their careers. But throughout the course of their career, early, Magic did not like Bird. He did not want to be. They were not boys.
Did KD ruin that though? Yes, because he took the competitiveness out of that rivalry.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He threw a monkey wrench in it. No doubt about it, Tone. I believe that. He threw a monkey wrench in it.
Or do you blame, to the same or lesser extent, Kyrie? Because if Kyrie stays, like maybe it's not Toronto. Like if LeBron and Kyrie stay in Cleveland, maybe it is competitive. Maybe they go for a fifth one in a row, which I know most people maybe hate, but at the same time, hey, if you're meeting 5 times in a row and it's competitive, like it's 3-2 for one of the teams,
right?
I could see that more of a rival. But I think part of the thing now is, one, they all grow up together playing AAU.
Yep.
And they know each other. 2, you're not staying with the team for the most part. Like when we see a guy stay on a team for a long time now, it's like, oh wow, like it's a big deal because no one does that anymore. Whereas if you look back to, listen, I still think Lakers and Celtics, and I get what you're saying is they didn't win, but at the same time we faced off so many times, and once Magic got there and Bird got there, that was built in from college, right? Yep. So there was already that built-in rivalry between those two guys. Who's going to be? Well, Bird wins the Rookie of the Year, but Magic won Finals MVP, right? And they're like, Bird and Magic, one or both, was in the NBA Finals for the entire 80s, the entire decade.
Yes.
One of them was in there. And so there is a rivalry, but there's also a Lakers. We hate the Celtics. One, because they kicked our ass. Like before we were all born, they were beating us down, and then we gave it to them in the 80s. And so there was a history there. And they didn't like each other. Like, Kurt Rambis getting clotheslined, people throwing punches. Like that was a thing. We, going into the Boston Garden and making sure you made it out alive was a thing. That just doesn't. There's too much. And Bird was a Celtic. Magic was a Laker. They didn't go anywhere. Isaiah was a Piston. Like Jordan. Forget I'm talking 80s and 90s. Jordan was a Bull. Kobe was a Laker.
But that's what it was, though, Tone. I think that's what we expected. When
I didn't leave. If you left my team, I left you.
Right.
I didn't follow you to that team and say, "Oh, you left the Lakers. You went to San Antonio. Oh, I'm a San Antonio fan now." No,
that's not what it was.
I don't care who's in the jersey. I'm a fan of the jersey, and that has changed significantly. And it's not just LeBron, but like LeBron, for example. Like I know guys, guys that have a Cleveland jersey, a Miami jersey, a redone Cleveland jersey, a Laker jersey. Cool, be a fan of that player,
sure,
but it hurts the rivalry because a Cleveland fan should hate, and some should hate LeBron once he goes to Miami, and they did. As a Laker, they should hate LeBron. They should want him to fail, and they should want him to lose. They should want whoever, KD. If you're an OKC fan, you should hate Kevin Durant. In every, but that's done now. It's not.
I think with these rivalries, to your point, which that does make a lot of sense. These guys, they stayed because that's what we were used to anyway, Tone. I knew that when Philly got Barkley, that he was going to be on the 76ers. I knew that was going on. Doc was going to probably retire with the 76ers. Mo Cheeks was going to retire with the Sixers. When he went to go play for the Knicks, man, I didn't think a lot about it. So that was all predicated. Remember, Tone, that was all predicated on the divisions. So I think that they're trying to bring back rivalries. So, like, for example, with this rivalry week, we're playing up the Knicks against Brooklyn. Even though Brooklyn is garbage, they're playing up the Knicks against Brooklyn because it's New York City. So we're gonna make the Knicks and Brooklyn somewhat of a rivalry. Minnesota against Dallas because they win the Western Conference Championship. It will work, right? I think that it would work in terms of these rivalries. One, if we got to see them more in the playoffs, and two, if these teams in the divisions, if they won more. I've told them I'm on record saying this. There's a reason why when you go to where the Chicago Bulls practice, they have banners from them winning the Central Division because it mattered. Because we had to beat the Pistons, we had to beat Cleveland. It mattered. We were in a real dogfight with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We were in a real dogfight with the Milwaukee Bucks. We were in a real dogfight with the Detroit Pistons. It mattered being in that division and winning that division, even when the Detroit Pistons knocking them out of the playoffs every year that they knocked them out. With the Detroit Pistons now, with them being in the same division, well, damn, Tone, not only are they the division champs, shit, they the world champs. And now the Chicago Bulls, who eventually dropped the Pistons, they're the world champs now. And in addition to them being the world champs in 1992, who are we seeing in the Eastern Conference Championship? We're going up against Cleveland, who's also in our division. So I feel like divisions matter because that's where the rivalry is created. You're a football guy. The black and blue division in the AFC North with Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cleveland and Cincinnati.
I think with the amount of teams, you're absolutely right. I think with the amount of teams in the NBA, though, if you want this to work, because there's only 30 teams.
Correct.
I think there should be 4 divisions and make them play each other more often. And I think that I think you'll get more of the Heat and Knicks rivalry.
That
right?
Was
like
a real rivalry, Tone.
because
that was a
rivalry. 100% that was real. And it didn't matter when a coach went from one team to the other. The rivalry stayed. And that was
disdain for those two guys.
That was a genuine, and someone brought up in the comments, they're like, well, Chet and Wemby hate each other. Sure. They got to meet in the playoffs. They got to get, there's no rivalry until you're in the playoffs. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And right now, well, is Chet even playing? I don't know.
No, he's not playing, Tone, but let's get to the bottom of that. Okay, first of all, Chet and Wemby don't hate each other. It's Wemby who looks at Chet that way. Chet is looking at him like, what's this dude problem with me? I didn't even know I had it's Wemby who looks at him, and that started when they were in the 16 and under. That's where that started at. Okay. And Chet ended up winning. His team ended up winning, and he ended up, I think, being the MVP of the tournament. Wemby's looking at this dude like, this dude is not better than me. So now we get to the pros, and now it's amplified because Wemby looking at Chet like, I'm better than this dude. I'm much better than him. So because I'm better than him, I'm gonna prove it every time I go up against him. Chet's now found out that, this dude doesn't like me, and this dude got a problem with me. So instead of talking to him, no, he got a problem with me, so I got a problem with him too. And that's where it all stemmed from.
I did not know that. Let me just deal with this real quick, because we were talking about this, and I see this a lot, and we'll do a little sidebar. I'm sorry, but MJ doesn't compare. See, that's the nonsense that I'm talking about. Was nothing until he got Pippen. Do you know how many full seasons Jordan played before the Bulls traded for Pippen? 2, Frank. 2. He was in the NBA for 3 seasons with 3 different head coaches, mind you, but he was injured for the majority of one. So he played 2 full seasons. So when you say he was nothing, so his rookie season when he led the league in points, he was nothing. The second year where he played 18 games. Well, okay, he played 18 games. His third season, do you know what he did in his third season with his second best player being Charles Oakley? Like, learn some basketball, Frank, and then come back. You rest your case. Your case got dismissed, my friend. Okay. Speaking of missing games,
yep.
Is Joel Embiid ever going to play in Denver?
No,
is Joel Embiid ever going to play?
That's the $1 million question. Is Joel Embiid, and this goes back to when we talked about the rivalries, right? This goes back to that tone with Jabbar and Moses Malone, Shaq and Olajuwon, David Robinson and Olajuwon, Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning, Mutombo and Shaq. Like, these are the rivalries that we had because Mutombo and Shaq were in the Eastern Conference. Mutombo was in Atlanta. Shaq was in Orlando. Alonzo Mourning was a part of that. So we had these rivalries going on because we've seen these guys a lot. Joel Embiid hasn't played in Denver against Joker since 2019. Since 2019, Tone, 6 years. And he's getting older.
2,000 days since he's played in Denver.
2,000 days, which I got a hot take for you.
He doesn't like the elevation? Yes, go ahead.
You are going to roast me for this.
Oh.
I think the Philadelphia 76ers, I think that this season is a wash. And not only is it a wash, Tone, if it's a wash, if they end up with the #1 overall pick, I'm moving on from Joel Embiid. I'm starting over. And I'm building my unit around Cooper Flag and Tyrese Maxey. That's what I'm doing.
Why? Just out of curiosity, why would I roast you for this when I told you they weren't going to make the playoffs this year at the beginning of the season?
You told me that you hated this roster. You didn't like it at all.
I told the second I heard Paul George and Philadelphia, I said, "Oh, forget that. They're in the lottery." That's what I've been telling. I
thought you were nuts. I did. I thought you were nuts when you told me. I'm like, Tony, they're making the playoffs. What are you talking about?
I'm not gonna roast you for finally coming to the dark side and realizing the process failed.
It has 100%. If they are, I think this season is a wash. This is not a good team. This is a bad team, and I feel like Tyrese Maxey could potentially be wasted. And I'm good as much as I think Joel Embiid. As much as I think Joel Embiid, from a talent standpoint, I think he's good enough to take your team to the NBA championship. I think he's made of glass, and I think you got everything that you're going to get out of him. I don't think you're getting anything more.
So let me tweak what you said, because when you say he's good enough to take a team to the NBA final, the answer is no, he's not. And the reason he's not good enough is because he's talented enough, but he's not good enough. What's the difference? Good enough means you have the heart, the desire, and the availability to do it. He does not. He has all the talent in the world. When he's playing, good luck finding a legit flaw in his game, with the exception of heart, desire, and availability. And that's why I tell people, and you need those to be a champion. And that's why I tell everybody, you talk about skill and talent and all these other things all you want.
Right.
That doesn't make you a great player. The process failed. The process failed when listen. The process failed when they started falling for Danny Ainge's nonsense, when they could have had a team that was Embiid, Tatum, and Brown.
They could have done that.
That's the problem, is when you miss on those draft picks, when you miss on those trades, when you pick Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. And I know everyone's gonna say, well, look at Jimmy Butler now. Yeah, but he would have given you 4 or 5 good years, and he's significantly better than Tobias Harris.
Jimmy Butler was at that point, no doubt about that. So this goes back to what we were talking about when we were talking about rivalries. Those rivalries that were created with big guys, those rivalries that were created with teams, they were created. This is a byproduct of that. This is part of it, of why those rivalries were created. So if Joel Embiid and Joker are going at it, well, this might be a finals preview. We might be able to get this in the NBA championship. And if Joel Embiid gets the best of Joker, if Joker gets the best in Joel Embiid, I'll see you in the finals. And we'll settle this then. And if they end up in the NBA championship, these two teams together, nobody cares that it's Philly and Denver in terms of the market. What we care about is just Joel Embiid and it's Joker. Because I've said this to you time and time again, Tone, when you have somebody in the league that people can relate to, when you put a face to this product, it makes the product much more sellable, way more sellable.
It is now time for my favorite, because we talk too much. It's my favorite part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It is our rapid fire headlines.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. If you're ready, I'm going to read you a quote or tell you a comment, and I'm going to get your take on it. So first, numero uno.
Shut your damn mouth.
That's the wrong one. Although that one's kind of funny.
Shut your damn mouth.
Thanks, Rock. Anthony Edwards is now 0-12. A big 0-12. And go ahead game tying field goals in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Is he not clutch?
I think he's got some work to do. I do. I think he's got some work to do. Tone, they've had 10 games this season, Minnesota has, where they've lost by 1 or 2 possessions. They're 500 in those games. And that's largely due to their offense. That's largely due to a guy like Anthony Edwards, whose shot selection is tricky. And again, you know how I feel about clutch, Tone. Clutch isn't just making shots. Clutch is a number of other things. And I mean, I've seen Anthony Edwards come up big. I saw him in Indiana last season, come up with that big block to end the game. I mean, that's a clutch play. But this season, he has not, in terms of a bucket getter. When they get into the meat and potatoes of games, he has not been clutch for them. No.
I remember in NBA Finals where Chris Bosh got a rebound, kicked it out for go-ahead 3, and then blocked the shot at the end of the game. That dude was clutch.
That was big time.
For Miami.
By the way, that was the same game that Chris Bosh had these many points in that game, by the way.
Sometimes you don't need to score. I tell my youth team that all the time. Sometimes you got to do a thing. All right, headline number 2.
And the next game, not that game.
I know. Kevin Durant.
Yep.
Says the Cavs and Warriors 2017 NBA Finals matchup was the peak of basketball. The peak of basketball. That much talent on the same court.
Mm-hmm. How much better? How much better would it have been if you'd have stayed where you were, though? How much better would it have been if you would have stayed in Oklahoma City instead of jumping on the crew with Curry? How much better would it have been if we would have if we would have been able to get that Western Conference Finals battle for the next 2 or 3 more years, in addition to what it already was? So we move on from you guys. We move on from you guys handling San Antonio, who was on their way out, to now you guys can be the class of the Western Conference. It's you and the Golden State Warriors. But the reason why it wasn't you and the Golden State Warriors is because you knew that the guy in the Bay Area, he was the gatekeeper, and you knew that you weren't getting past him. So the idea that it was the peak of basketball, I think it was. When I think about the kind of talent, it was the peak during that time. I think it was the peak of that generation. However, I think you threw a monkey wrench in that, though. I do believe that. You threw a monkey wrench in that.
Numero trace.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, a big part of our season has been when we can't score. We lose spirit, we lose life, we lose competitiveness. Are the Warriors, or what's next for the Warriors? And I have this question, but I think it was done a couple of years ago. Is their dynasty over?
So really quickly, Tone, you just said to me what Curry said, when we can't score. Well, the reason why we can't score is because we're looking for you to do it. And Curry's long in the tooth. There isn't anybody else on the crew that they can get consistent buckets from. And they don't defend like they used to. They can defend, but they don't defend like they used to. So because they can't get consistent buckets from Curry like they used to, they get discouraged because we don't think we can do it anyway. So now you ain't doing it. So that discourages us even more because now you're dependent on me to do it more. You're dependent on Andrew Wiggins more. You're dependent on Moody. You're dependent on Kuminga. Yes, you're dependent on those guys to do it more, and they're not. So when that happens, what happens? This team goes in the tank. Now, is the dynasty over? The dynasty was over in 22. That was the time, Tone. when you had an opportunity to fix this, because that was essentially the last dance for this crew in 22. I think that was it.
I struggle with the dynasty conversation because did they not miss the playoffs?
And that's true. I think in 20 in the
so right
20,
after they lost to Toronto,
mhm.
and Curry was hurt, and Clay was coming off the injury, and KD was hurt or had gone to Brooklyn, whatever the hell was going on, and I think they won like 5 games or something. That's when the dynasty was over. I'm sorry. Once you're out of
done, then Tom?
Well, yeah, it was done. It was you got the second pick in the draft. Your dynasty's over.
Oh, Curry broke his hand, and then Klay Thompson, he tore his Achilles trying to rehab himself. So that's it.
Those are all the reasons why the dynasty was over. A dynasty is consistent greatness. Right. It is not like I disagree with everyone who says the Spurs were a dynasty. The Spurs aren't the Spurs had a lull of like 7 years between NBA finals. That's you want to call it 2 different dynasties? Sure. But if you're not winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, it's not a dynasty. So yes, they shock the hell out of everybody. They get Andrew Wiggins. He plays like as the second best player on that team. He plays ridiculous. They win a chip out of nowhere. That's cool. That's a great story. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. But I think that's oh wow, that's like an and one to their dynasty. But the dynasty was over then. Once KD leaves and there's injuries and you're getting the second overall pick, which you botched by the way, it's over. But it's headlines. Mm-hmm. Domantas Sabonis, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 12 of 16 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. No one is talking about Sabonis. Should we? Ox, this is for you.
Yes, Tone. We should be talking about him a lot more than we do. I mean, there aren't many guys in the last 20 years that have done what Sabonis has done. Ox and I actually had a conversation. This was after they played the Miami Heat, and I just remember watching Sabonis and saying, Ox, if I'm a big, I know for a fact that I got to get rest, because I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, fighting with that dude all night long, getting in the post with him, banging with him, fighting with him for post position, for rebounds all night long. I mean, I watched him pull down almost 30 rebounds against the Boston Celtics. He had 29 and 18 a couple of nights ago. Last season, he did not make the All-Star team or the All-Pro team. He led the league in triple-doubles and double-doubles. That was going on. And then this season, I think he leads the league in rebounding again, and he's averaging a double-double again. And I don't think we're talking about this guy nearly as much. He's one of the better passers in the game, the best rebounder in the game, I think. And not just because he's leading the league in rebounding. His positioning, his footwork, how physical he is, he takes away, I think he takes away the soft tag when you're talking about Euros. Like we gotta get rid of that when we're talking about Sabonis. Because Sabonis, there is nothing soft about him. That dude is the real deal.
That is such an old school.
It's old. You can't say that about
Europeans.
You can't do that anymore.
His dad was better, but he's better than Scotty Barnes. All right, last one. The Scotty Barnes disrespect will not stop. Power rankings are in. Memphis at 5.
Yep.
Boston at 4. Your Rockets at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Your Cavaliers at 2. Mm-hmm. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1. Disagree, agree, any changes?
I thought the Oklahoma City Thunder would be at the top of the Western Conference. Sure. The Cavs, I did not think that they would be this good, Tone. I just didn't. When I think about how good they are, I still think, very much like Oklahoma City, I still think the Cavs are a year away. I do. I think that they're a year away, predicated on their second best scorer and the third best scorer, I'm sorry, in Evan Mobley. I still think that they're a year away, just like I feel like Oklahoma City is still a year away. But as far as the leap that these guys have taken, they've gotten better. They won. I had the Cavs as a top 3 seed. I did not have them far and away the best team in the Eastern Conference, record-wise. That I did not have, Tone. That was not going on for me. I did not think that that was a real thing, off the strength that I didn't think that Mobley would take this kind of jump. I thought he'd be better this season, and I won't argue that. I thought he would be better this season. I didn't think that he would be all-star. I thought he'd be the defensive player of the year, but I didn't think that he would be this good. I didn't.
The Cavs are so good this season. How good are they? That in March, as you know, I have a trip to Chicago to see the Bulls play a few games.
Mm-hmm.
I might reroute, and instead of going this way through Detroit, go this way so that I can hit up Cleveland for a game or two. That's how good they are. That I will actually. I'm thinking of spending a couple days in Cleveland. That's all I'm saying. Jay Fernandez is the first one up.
Yep.
That was headlines. Headline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to take down the banner. So it's just going to stay up there. Well, Fernandez.
There you go.
Joins us.
What up?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Two things. First off, happy belated birthday, Chill. Happy belated birthday. Number
137 years old.
Lamar said 1938. 1938.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I want to congratulate you, Fluent, on getting a new coach, an actual good coach in Ben Johnson. I want to congratulate you too. Finally, you guys may finally get a 4,000-yard passer next season. You guys may actually get a 4,000-yard passer.
Do you know, Jay, both Jays, do you know if Caleb Williams throws for 4,000 yards next year, how many times that will be in Bears history?
The first
3
one.
times.
They'll be the first one to do it. Nobody else has done that in the history of the Bears.
We're still waiting.
He has the talent, 100%. He has the receiving core to do it. You guys are going to shore up that line this offseason. Mm-hmm. Watch him pass for 4,000 yards in his sophomore year. Watch.
You actually wait. We're getting at 10. Watch the running back we draft. That's all I'm going to say.
You guys need a running back?
Nope,
yes.
But we're getting one.
Yes, you do. David Montgomery is not it.
He's not. No. Montgomery's.
Montgomery's going. He's in Detroit.
The running back position is like the most rich position in the NFL. You get any running back,
They're drafting that kid from Ohio State. Watch.
Okay. I want to ask y'all. First off, it's a defensive question about the NBA. Do you guys think that just because you make it into the all-league defensive votings, that makes you an elite defender?
Yes, I think so. I think that you're playing at that level now. Depends on where you make it. I mean, those two things are different. I mean, I was about to say Arvidas. I'm sorry. Domantas Sabonis got a Defensive Player of the Year vote. Is he in the conversation for being Defensive Player of the Year? No. But
is he an elite defender at all?
I think that he's a better defender than he gets credit for. I do think that.
Sorry, is the question? Tell me again. Is the question if you get DPOY vote?
If you make it into the all-league defensive voting, just making it there, does that make you an elite defender?
No, absolutely not, because that is voted on by the media, and each team has its homer staff of media members who have votes, and so unless it's significant, like unless you're either on an all-defensive team or on the verge of being on an all-defensive team, meaning other people voted for you aside from your guys. Like to Jay's point, some guy in Sacramento voting for
Sabonis
doesn't make him an elite defender all of a sudden. It's just he had a guy in the media who voted for him. So no, I don't think.
I'm asking this because I got into a dispute with my friend, and he's a Kings fan, and he said Domantas is an elite defensive big, and I'm like, no, he's not. I don't think he's an elite defensive big. I think he's bad.
I'm talking about elite though. I mean, he's not Bam or Anthony Davis or Giannis or he's not that good. I'm not going to say that, but I do think that he doesn't get the credit that's necessary for him.
He might be better than he gets credit for. Maybe that.
I definitely think he gets. I definitely does. And the fact that he plays in Sacramento doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. So to answer your question, there are some guys. I don't think that applies to everybody, but there are some guys who, when you get, because there are guys who I feel like are on their way to being elite defenders. So yes,
move them to Seattle and call them the Seattle Supersonics. He'll get more love.
That's crazy. So it's just because he's in Sacramento. just because he's entitled.
I think it does.
Just so you know, Jay, the Utah Jazz have had the All-Star game twice in 30 years. You know how many times the All-Star game has been in Sacramento?
0.
They've never hosted All-Star weekend ever. The game has been in Salt Lake City
do
twice.
Crazy how they're in California and they haven't had it.
Hold on a
That's
minute.
crazy.
They had it in Utah. I was just saying, there's nothing you can do in Utah, but they won't do it in Sacramento.
It was in Salt Lake City twice in the last 30 years.
You know what the best thing about Sacramento is?
Leaving.
It's only about an hour away from San Francisco. All right. Anything else, Jay?
Yeah, it's a football question for y'all. I gotta get y'all's prediction for what this postseason gonna look like. Is Jaden Daniels making it to the bowl game?
Yes. Washington versus the Buffalo Bills rematch. And this time it won't go wide right. Wide right. Oh, no. Scott,
What about you, Chill?
I keep wanting to call them the Skins, but they're not the Skins anymore.
You can call them. Do it. That'll be their name again soon.
Yeah,
What about you? What about you?
If I can get political in Trump's America, they will be the Skins soon.
I know one thing. Doesn't
Magic want to revert it? Doesn't Magic want to revert it back to the Redskins?
He did, yeah. He talked to the tribal chief who it was their at the time chief who the logo was made after, who they voted for, that gave the name that the person was the picture was after. All of them said yeah, they want it back. So
they were totally fine with it. So okay, so I'm getting the Bulls. That's crazy. Bills and Commanders bowl game.
Bills and Commanders, yep.
I mean, at that point, like Jaden Daniels is like the best rookie quarterback ever at that point, right? I mean, forcing your team into the bowl game in rook season. Like, have we ever seen anything like this before?
No, it's phenomenal. He's going to be the first rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl. He's not going to win, unfortunately, but just for wootage, let me just say, acknowledge me. Yes, go ahead.
I already know where the belt is, and until you drop us, I mean, whatever Buffalo doing, whatever Buffalo doing, whatever Washington doing, whatever Philly doing, none of that matters because this where the belt is.
Man, Kansas City got Chill scared, bro. They smoked your 49ers twice. Chill, you don't want nothing to do with them no more. Jesus
my
Christ.
boys ain't even in the playoffs, and I'm looking at the rest of the landscape of the NFL playoffs, and this where the belt is. So I don't care what Buffalo doing. I don't care what Washington doing. I don't care what Philly doing. In the words of Michael Jordan, you still got to come through Chicago.
Jesus Christ. So you're just like, what are you guys gonna do then? I mean, y'all are scared of Mahomes.
Until y'all drop them, that's the chance.
You're not wrong. Jay, if you want to come back, just stay on because there's actually a bunch of people waiting. So I'm gonna jump to the next one.
All right, brother.
But thanks. We'll talk to you in a minute. Appreciate you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brother.
Benjamin, what do you got?
Up?
Yo.
What up?
Yo, I got a couple questions.
Shoot.
So, Chill, you still got the Boston Celtics winning this year?
I do.
Are you not concerned but you're not as confident as you were last year?
I'm not as confident as I was a month ago, but I still got them winning the NBA championship. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Why not? Why are you not as confident?
Because I don't like I don't like the inconsistencies of Jason Tatum. I don't like the variance of the long ball that they're shooting. I don't like the inconsistencies in their defense. I don't like the up and down play of Derek White. I don't like that. And I worry that, can these guys turn this on? Can they turn this back on come playoff time? I think that they can, but I'm not as confident about it as I was a month ago. I'm not.
Well, who'd you see beating them though? Who could you see beating them?
Well, that's the thing. The way that the Celtics play now, I mean, there's a part of me that I'm picking the Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship. But there's also a part of me that if they lost in the semifinals, that wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me at all, considering how they play, how inconsistent they've been, how inconsistent Jason Tatum has been. That would not surprise me at all. How inconsistent Jaylen Brown has been, that would not surprise me at all. It wouldn't.
So if I was to say, I fully so you don't think Cleveland can beat them 4 times in a week?
I don't think anybody can beat them 4 times in a week, if I'm being honest with you. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I don't think it can happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I would not be surprised considering the Celtics, what they rely on. They rely on the long ball. That's what they rely on. They shoot 50 a game. They rely on that in order to win. So because they rely on that, to win, you have to be more consistent with that. Their defense has to be more consistent. I worry about the health of KP. And the reason why I worry about that, because I'm having a difficult time believing that everybody's going to break down again this season in the playoffs. So I think that they're going to need Kristaps Porzingis more this year than they did last year. On top of that, Jrue Holiday has got to be better as a shooter, and
I was going to go to Jrue Holiday. I think they're going to move off him this season.
He has not been. So because of that, because of those things, it wouldn't surprise me if the Celtics got into a series where they just went ice cold and they ended up in dogfights and they ended up losing the series. That would not surprise me.
I'm gonna give a hot take right now. I think if the Orlando Magic are fully healthy, we could see a shock.
The Orlando Magic, the team that just got losing to the Raptors by 20 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Fully healthy.
Well, they're not fully healthy. They lost Franz for the season. He got a torn. I'm sorry,
not
not
for
Franz.
the season.
They lost not Franz. They lost Mo. He tore up his
Mo.
knee.
Mo. I forgot about Mo.
Torn up his knee. So they're not going to be fully healthy. So that part I'm not,
But do you think
sure about.
The thing about the Celtics though is, with the exception of Porzingis, they've been completely healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
How often does that last?
It doesn't last.
Right. So that's the thing that I'm worried about with the Celtics is that, to your point, Jay, everybody else isn't going to be hurt. What if this is the year they all get hurt? Now it's a whole other conversation.
Right.
I think if they're going to outshoot themselves, they might. The only thing that can beat Boston probably is themselves, which I have a 50% chance of thinking that's going to happen in the playoffs this year. Because they're just still consistent right now. I don't think they'll hit 60 wins. Maybe not for 55.
All right, man.
See.
That's all.
All right, bro. Good to talk to you.
Yeah. Triple A. Which
what
one
up?
is you're on here twice? Which one is the one that you hear? The first one?
What up? Maybe it's the other one.
No, maybe it's not. Let's try the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yo.
What up?
Go.
Yo, y'all can hear me?
Yep. You hot.
Oh man. All right. First of all, I gotta get on you, Chill. Yo, I listened to the PC. Was that earlier or the other day? Johnny on there. Yo, I was cringing I was cringing the entire time, man. They have to stop letting this guy get on there and just spit out, disinformation, because it's crazy. It's nasty at this point, man. He just gets on there. He said Joker's a better defender than AD. Like the way am I lying, Chill?
No, he didn't. Hold on, time out. No,
he said Joker would be better. He would be better in that system than Anthony Davis would be, and he thinks Anthony Davis is a defensive liability. We had this conversation, and it was yes. It got.
He means it though. He means it with all his heart.
Triple A. What do you want me to say though? Because we went at it. It wasn't like I just let that slide.
I guess because
fandom gets in the way. That's when fandom gets in the way of logic, right? That's when fandom gets in the way of logic. Yes, but go ahead.
Yeah, I guess you know what, Chill, because I know you're not the only one with basketball knowledge up there. So when I don't see anybody kind of pushing back, I'm like, yo, this is dangerous to the basketball conversation, because if nobody checks it, people believe that this is true. And this is how you make those memes. Like, go ahead.
No, I was just saying you need to blame that L host who allows it to happen because he wants the clips.
Yeah. Not necessarily you, Chill. I'm just talking shit.
Right.
Yeah, but when they let it go that long, it's like, yo, y'all just gonna let this guy say this, and then when people believe it, the basketball discourse kind of goes south, because you have people repeating this silly stuff that makes absolutely no sense. And I get it. A lot of these people didn't see some of these legends play like Magic and Mike, but thank God we have YouTube, so you can actually see it for yourself. You don't have to just talk about it. You can go back and see full games. And he just says the craziest stuff, to the point I know you see me on your TikTok all the time, Fluent, commenting on there, but it's just ridiculous. And my last take is,
can I pause you there for a second though? Can I pause you there for a second before you get into Jrue Holiday? Because the thing is, you say we have YouTube to go back and watch these guys, but the problem is you will have people who go back and watch, whether it's because of they have an agenda or there's a narrative dispute or they just don't want to understand. Is you can go back and watch, but if you don't understand what was being asked of the players in those particular time frames, you're going to look back and say, oh, that was bad basketball, right? Like if I watch the 90s, listen, I've always said that was not the best era. Let's be very clear. I'm not saying that. However, if you go back and watch the 90s, you're going to say, oh, that was terrible basketball. Well, hold on a second. You have to understand what they were asking. They were asking their team to have one person who scored, a couple of guys who defended, a couple of guys who rebound, and they wanted to clog up the lanes and mucky up the game. That's why they all had these 7-footers like Will Perdue and Bill Wennington. I'm going to use the Bulls as an example. And Bill Cartwright. Well, yeah, that's the type of style of play. If you go back to the 80s, it's like, why are they leaving the 3-point shooter open? Well, because they only shot 4 a game. It wasn't a threat that they were going to shoot it, because if you did, the coach was going to pull you. I complained to Jay all the time. I shoot a 3, make it. I shoot a second 3, make it. Now I'm on the bench because I shot 2 threes instead of passing it into the center, right? Mm-hmm. And that was what they were asked to do. So as long as you go in with the understanding of this is the style that they wanted to play, whether it was right or wrong, this is what they were being asked to do, then you can appreciate what they were doing, and I think appreciate how great they are. But let me be very clear. It doesn't make it better. I think, like I said, the last 15 years were better than the 90s. But anyways, go ahead, Drew Holiday.
No. I totally agree. And the Drew Holiday thing, I always said this in the chats before. The reason you brought him was for defense. Even last year, he hasn't really stopped anybody. Like, the reason you brought him there, Jimmy put 50 on his head. You bring him, or at least I thought you brought him in for those big games to be that defensive stopper. But he hasn't stopped anybody in 2 years.
That's not true, AAA. That's not true at all. Because last season, that's not true. Because last season, when they played in the playoffs, he was playing in the post, and he did a really good job on Evan Mobley. He came up with the big steal when they played against Indiana. He came up with big stops on Nimhart.
You may be right. Maybe I'd rather
say. And let me just say, when you say Jimmy dropped 50 on him, let me just say there are certain times. It don't matter who you are defensively. The offensive guy is at an advantage, and if they're on, there's no.
You can't do nothing. Yeah.
Once that water get turned on, you can't shut it off. You can't shut it off. And that was largely due to Giannis too. I'm on record, AAA saying that was Rocky standing there with the towel and watching Apollo Creed get beat up, and he ain't do nothing about it.
I give you that. But yeah, that's
you're just gonna watch your man just get beat up like that. You're gonna do nothing.
Yeah. Word is more. Ain't gonna let him run down on me like that the whole game.
And you're gonna do nothing. You're just gonna stand there and just watch it happen.
I think I agree with you with the Celtics winning take. I think even though they're losing now, I think when you have that much talent on the court, like you said, Fluent, it's hard to beat them 4 times in 7 games. Like those kind of guys, they find a way to figure it out. I don't care what's going on when you get in that situation, playoffs. I think the Celtics have enough talent to figure it out, no matter what kind of slump they're on. Even with Jaylen Brown playing, so right now, you get him and Tatum on the court. I don't think other teams can match up with that for 48 minutes. I think it's still hard. I think they figure it out one way or another.
Fair enough.
All right. I'm with you.
I holler at y'all, man.
All right, brother. Good to talk to
you. Frank, you are up next, but first.
What up?
But first.
Hang on.
Melo Williams, Amon, Azur, top tier young talent. I'm going to put a question mark.
Yes, 100% they are. Tone, this kid, Amin Thompson, Tone, he gives me Scottie Pippen / Ron Artest vibes. Tone, if you watch this kid, you'll love him. I swear. He affects games. His brother. Yes, and his brother, I think Amin's more talented than him, but I think his motor might be better.
You know what's going to hurt them? Who's going to teach them?
Well, again,
I think they a bit of a disservice because they were, what was it, Ignite or whatever they were playing.
Yeah.
They need someone to come in and teach them stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Where to be, where to stand, footwork, and then yes, I'm with you 100%. If they try to do it all based on their natural, incredible skill and athleticism, that can only take them so far. Now,
fair enough.
They look like the type that take it seriously and they want to learn. Yep. So as long as there's someone there to guide them, yes, I agree 100%. If the question is top tier talent, 100% talent, 100%. Yes.
But with that being said, Tone, they're in spaces. This isn't Animal House, Steven Silas, Houston Rockets, where you got guys swinging from the ceiling fan and we had no direction. No, Ime Udoka is actually showing them how to play the right way. Same thing in Detroit. This isn't 28 straight losses. You got to break. And Tone, I know how you feel. The guy that I always think about when I think about you and stuff like this is Butter. Butter is the guy who is the bridge. That's what he is. He's the bridge guy. But once you get once you get there, you're not winning it with him. You're probably gonna have to get somebody else. And I feel like I'm not sure if JB Bickerstaff is the coach to get them to the top, but I do think that he's the bridge.
He can teach them for sure. He'll give them discipline and some. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's 100%. Who he is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So thank you, Mello. Frank says he has a good question.
At least I think I do. Yo, guys. So Fluent Chill. You guys have a great show here. My question is it's a two-part question. Do you think the Lakers are cooked? Or, I mean, yeah, and if they are not cooked, what trade could they possibly make to be uncooked? Is there a possible trade out there if they're Fluent by chance?
Tone
or no,
sir.
So if you're here at the beginning of the show, you'll recall that Jay said there was something that he messaged me that he wanted to talk about on today's show, and before he even finished his sentence, I said we're not having that conversation.
Okay, that's
but then again, I said okay, fine, we can have it. So your question brings that up. So let me read what the question was posed to me, or the comment that was posed, that I said I'm not having this conversation because it breaks my heart. The Lakers are more likely to stand pat or make a half measure trade.
Makes me sick.
Half.
Hang on, Frank.
Let me read it out. The Lakers are more likely to stand pat or make a half measure trade rather than go all in on a big move, per Jovan Boa, who was a guest of the show, by the way. We should probably have him back on at some point. Who's the Lakers insider / reporter. That's what they're saying around the league. So to answer your question,
absolutely disgusting.
Is there a trade they could make? Sure. Is there a trade they're gonna make? And the answer is no. I think the trading away D'Lo was their trade. And they just want to, and they're gonna stand pat, and they don't think they can win, and I don't think they want to win, and it breaks my heart as a Laker fan that the answer from Rob Pelinka wasn't, we're going to do everything in our power to make this a championship team because we're the Lakers. That's the answer I want all the time. Regardless of what you do behind the scenes, the answer should be like what he basically said was, we've got James, so we're selling out. Why do we need to make trades?
We got Anthony Davis. We good.
And this
which, by the way, since we on that subject, I'm glad you brought that up, Tone, because if the playoffs started today, right? If the playoffs started today, and you are, I don't know, Tone, you end up in the playoffs, you're the 7th seed. How you like your chances against Houston?
No chance. Sorry.
I don't like our chances against anybody.
I love your chances against Houston. Let me tell you why I love your chances against Houston.
I don't like our chances against.
We got no guards. I mean, our guards can't guard anybody. Chill.
FYI, if the playoffs started today, and the standings were as is, we are the 6th seed, so we would be playing Memphis.
Memphis in the first round. How do you like your chances against Memphis, Tone?
We're gonna lose.
You don't like your chances against Memphis, even though who's the best player in the series, Tone?
Ja Morant.
No. Who's the second? Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Ja Morant's the best player in the series. Who's the second best player in the series?
No, he's not. It's Bron. But okay.
It's not Bron. Bron's not even the best player on his team.
Who's the second best player in the series, Tone?
AD
then. Desmond Bane.
So it's Anthony Davis. Okay. Who's the third best player in the series, Tone?
Steven Adams.
I'm going to take James. Okay, so you got 2 of the best of the 3 best players in the series. We'll start there. On top of that,
Jared
you had on top of that, you have rotation guys. You and Frank just said you don't have guards on the wing that can defend. Actually, you do. Max Christie can defend. He might not be a Ahmed Thompson. Okay,
he's not
a Men Thompson. And again, this isn't throughout the course of the season. This is a playoff series, right? So you got
Austin Reeves is trash. I'm coming on stage, so he is trash.
You got a Men Thompson. I'm not a Men Thompson. I'm sorry. You have Max Christie, and you also have you got Cam. So with that being said, you do have some sort, and what's going to happen is with Ja's production, that's going to get evened out, right? That's going to get canceled out by James. Yeah. Jaren Jackson's production, that's going to get canceled out by Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis wins that matchup. What does that leave us with? I think Desmond Bane. I think Austin Reeves can outplay Desmond Bane.
Okay, that's the first round.
That's what it goes to.
So now, you're the 3 seed, and you're the 3 seed, and you end up playing the 6 seed.
I
think you got a great shot against Memphis. So that would mean
we beat Memphis. We got round 2. We got the number 2 seed, Houston.
Yep.
So we beat Houston.
I ain't even, and then you play the 2-7 winner.
Yeah. So Houston. So
right?
we beat.
You would play the 2-7 winner. We beat Houston. So then you end up playing Houston. How do you feel about Houston?
We beat Houston. So then we got the number 1 seed OKC. So you're saying Lakers to the NBA final. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not saying what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying to you, Tone. This is what I'm saying to you. I'm saying to you, Tone, if you can avoid Denver, I like your chances against everybody else in the Western Conference. That's what I'm saying.
You don't think we should make a trade and get a little bit better?
Tone, if you think about
make a trade, get Zach and
Frank,
try to get a big man.
You keep talking about trades. You did this for 3 straight years. 4 straight years. What has happened with this?
Okay, wait, chill.
I'm sick of this shit. What you do is all you want to do is just keep trading. Get the hell out of here with that shit.
We last one.
Tired of hearing that shit from you guys.
We last one in 2020 because we had defensive point guards and big centers. That got us our ring in 2020. They then traded those players in KCP, Caruso, JaVale, and Howard, and they got off of those dudes. So then we haven't won shit since then.
And why? And wait. Let me ask you this question. So let's rewind to the 2021 season. If Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt, if James doesn't get hurt, you think y'all beat Phoenix?
If they don't get hurt?
If they don't get hurt, you think y'all beat Phoenix?
Did we still have KCP back then?
I'm asking you a simple question. Do you think y'all beat Phoenix?
I don't know the roster back then.
I know y'all was up in the series 2-1. I know that before Anthony Davis got hurt.
We still have James and Davis. Then fuck yeah. Yeah, bro.
Okay, so
the language.
Frank. That's and Frank, just so you know, that's same team that ended up in the NBA championship. That Phoenix team. So if Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt, James actually got hurt that season too. So if those 2 guys don't get hurt, I think y'all beat Phoenix. Now, what happens? What happens to the Clippers that year? Leonard tore his knee up, did he not?
I believe so. You probably
yes, he did tear his knee up. Yeah. So with him tearing his knee up, how you like your chances against the Clippers without Leonard?
They smacking them.
Okay, so with all the trades, what ended up happening to you in 21? You ended up getting hurt. That was the problem. In 22, James got hurt and you didn't make the playoffs. In 23, what happened? You ran into the Denver Nuggets, that was a terrible matchup for you guys. By the way, this is the same crew that you had that went to the Western Conference Championship.
Yeah.
You run into the Denver Nuggets. Last season, you run into the Denver Nuggets again.
And Joker always matchup. Davis every time.
So I'm
Joker
asking
always
you
smacks
a
Davis,
simple
bro.
question.
Right.
If you can
As
avoid
much as
the Denver Nuggets,
yeah,
I like your chances against anybody else.
We're up against the timeline. I appreciate Frank as a Laker fan. You're right. Chill has convinced me Lakers are going to the NBA final this year. Thank you, Frank. You stick around if we have more time at the end, but we got one more. Hold on. Thank you for convincing me. I love it. Baba.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What up?
So, happy belated birthday for one. And then,
137 years.
As well, all right. So I was so I had a couple things I had to write them down, so I'm looking for them right now. Okay, so number 1, nobody talks about the Paul George move, right? I think him going to Philly instead of Miami really hurt his career. What do you guys think about that?
Him going, was Miami ever a question? When was that a?
I think Miami was, because it was between like Miami, I think Suns too, maybe. And then
I don't ever remember. Miami being a thing. To be honest with you, I don't.
Yeah, I will say we talked about it. That as much as we needed to do, which was to say that once he went to Philly, he was done, and Philly's season was done, and I will take credit on being correct on both of those. Thank you very much.
True. You can't go from injury-prone Kawhi Leonard to injury-prone Embiid. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we see what's going on right now.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Situation.
That's zero.
It's the same thing.
So
you go from one stripper to the next, and then you wondering why.
They're the same stripper.
Yeah.
But also too, I think that I've just two more things, and then I'll go. So I think the Celtics can be beat. I think their worst matchup is the New York Knicks because Cat puts pressure on Porzingis, and he's already fumbling with the fact that his health concerns. But I think if you can get Porzingis in foul trouble, it makes the Celtics more vulnerable, even though they do play better without Porzingis. But I think that post interior is going to have to either have Al Horford, who's older there, or Tatum guard him. So I think, and then they got good guard play with Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and OG, and then obviously Brunson. So I think they're a bad matchup for the Celtics.
I think it's the other way. I think it's the other way around. And the reason why it's the other way around is because as good as the Knicks, quote unquote, defense is, one, they got 7 guys. That's not enough against the Celtics. That's number one. And number two, they're going to have to outshoot the Celtics, and they're not going to be able to do that. You don't have the firepower to outshoot them 4 times, maybe once, maybe even twice. You don't.
And that's actually my biggest thing that I think is why the Celtics are so successful right now, is that yes, they'll have a bad shooting game, but if they just shoot what their average is, that's too much firepower for any team on those nights. The one night that they stink, they're going to lose, but for every game that they stink, they have another game where they outdo their average, and then you're cooked. Like, they'll blow you out. So that's where I think you're right. Is I think every team's going to have an issue scoring with them. They'll stop them 1 or 2 games. You can't do it 4 though. That's going to be the problem. Who has a team that can stop them and score with them when they're hot? That's why I picked them to repeat. And as a Laker fan, that hurts. Like I said, that hurts me to say.
I'm a Laker fan too. I'm not going to say the Celtics are winning this year. I think we're in the day and age where we're not going to see back-to-back champions for not for a long time, for at least 5 more years, because we still got Giannis, Jokic, Tatum. Like, we got too many people that are on the rise for it to just be back-to-back champions.
Yeah, but those are individuals, right? Giannis, doesn't have a good team. He doesn't have especially defensively, he does not now with Dame. He does not have a good team. Jokic, second best player. I love him, don't get me wrong, but is a 50-year-old Russell Westbrook. Luka, again, not really right. He's got Kyrie, but that's not
Jamal Murray, man.
And that Denver team comes, Tone. That's all I got to say about them. Here, Denver come.
Listen, they're coming, but again,
they're getting a lot better.
Again,
Baba, I'm telling you, teams duck smoke all the time.
What did you mention?
Duck smoke all the time.
Lakers are not scared of. That's a stupid notion. Seriously,
you should. You should not want nothing to do with Denver. You should.
No, even if you look at the series last year, we led throughout. Obviously, it comes down to the final moments, but this year is a lot different. I feel like this year, especially with the narrative that Bron's hearing this, I feel like he can overcome the Nuggets. I'm not scared of anyone in the West. I told you the only team I'm scared of is Houston, because Houston presents Dylan Brooks, Van Vliet, and then you got Segun.
I think Denver smoked y'all in 5 games. I don't think they beat you.
Lakers. No, you just convinced me. Lakers to the final, and Bronny gets his first ring, bro. Like, you just convinced me. Pedal now.
Last thing. Okay, so the Chiefs, or not even the Chiefs, but this is a combination of 2. I think either way, even if Jimmy Butler does go to the Suns, I think that poses no threat. Like, I don't think they're gonna win it this year. I think they need that's their biggest problem, and they need to start playing bull. But the narrative that Bron and KD, their moves are similar. That's beginning to be one of my biggest pet peeves, because I think Bron's move to the Heat is different from KD's move to the Warriors. What do you guys think about that?
I hate when I hear that.
I'm curious when you say they're similar in the sense that they both left one situation for a better situation. So it's similar in that sense. But what are they like? They're very different because KD joined an established team that had won a championship 2 years earlier, won 73 games and lost in the finals. Like KD is more similar to, like, I don't know, Moses Malone joining the 76ers. And then Braun was a whole new, he went and just created basically a whole new team with Wade and Bosh. There's 8 new players on that Heat team when LeBron went. So it was a different dynamic. But if you mean that both left a situation for a better one, yeah, it's similar in that sense.
Yeah. All right. And then, sorry, last thing, and then I'll actually leave. Are you a Josh Allen fan? Are you guys Josh Allen fans?
I dig Josh Allen. I like it.
I don't like the media because the media like glazes and praises Josh Allen, but he hasn't done anything. No disrespect to him. I'm just calling it spades a spade. He doesn't even have a first team All Pro. I mean, he might get MVP this year, but I think it's going to go to Lamar because first team All Pros for QBs usually go to that's usually the MVP. But he hasn't even made it to the Super Bowl. So why are we glazing Josh Allen when he hasn't done anything? And he plays in a cupcake division. That division is the easiest division in football.
Do you want to know why?
Why? Please tell me.
I'll tell you. It's simple. He's the most talented, dynamic, exciting white quarterback there is.
The most talented QB is actually Lamar Jackson. Believe it or not.
You didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said or no?
Yeah, and he's from California too.
No, I said he's the most dynamic, exciting.
No, he ain't.
White.
He's from Wyoming.
He's the most dynamic, exciting white quarterback there is. That's why the media loves him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. He went to college in Wyoming. That's not true.
Yeah.
He's not.
Regardless, that's why he's fun to watch, and he looks like the guys who are writing.
It's just frustrating because they'll glaze him and then they'll just crucify Lamar. But in reality, like that game though, too, I don't think it was Mark Andrews. I think the game was lost with that pass interference because that should have never been a pass interference.
Holman
pushed him down.
I hate when we look at a game, whether it's basketball or football, and we break it down to Mark Andrews, is going to get the blame because, well, he dropped a game-tying 2-point conversion. That doesn't guarantee they're going to win. Even if he catches it, there's no guarantee that there's still a lot of time on the clock. They can come back and kick a field goal and win that game. So that doesn't guarantee the win. We completely ignore the other stuff. Like Lamar Jackson quite literally threw the ball directly into a Buffalo defensive
terrible interception.
Literally, right. And he also, I don't know what he was doing on that sack. It looked like he was purposely throwing the ball and fumbling it. So it's not like for him to come out and say, I'm sick of guys dropping the ball or whatever. Look, he said he didn't play a perfect game either. It's when you lose a game, it's a combination of all of those things that happen, and that's why, like, I get it. Mark Andrews is going to get the blame. People are saying, "Oh, he's going to get cut."
Not getting cut, but that's
it wasn't. That's the guy who misses the last second shot. We're going to blame. Oh, he missed a shot. That's why they lost. Yeah. What about the 50 other mistakes throughout the game? So all of the things add up. But I see your point. They're going to blame it.
That's just show you that the Ravens lost the game more than the Bills won the game. So that's just to show you that the Bills are going to lose next week. Especially if the Eagles win. If the Eagles win, that means that the Chiefs are winning, and the Chiefs are going 3-peating. I already see it. But
Eagles and Chiefs.
All right, brother. Yeah.
But thank you guys.
Right,
I appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Keep inspiring
No
people. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Tone.
Oh, we went
I know we out of time. Yep.
I know you're waiting, but I'm sorry. We're out.
Yeah, I know we out of time. So we'll pick this up another time. Yes, we will.
You assuming I'm a human. What I gotta do to get it through to you? I'm superhuman, innovative, and I made a rubber something anything.
I was a rap god, so I just
So yeah, we are out of time, guys. It was good to see you this week. You know where to find us at every Tuesday night. This is where we are on the Sports Fluent Network and the Chilltown Hoops Network. Me and my man Tony Tone, we do this every week. We'll continue to keep bringing you great content. We will see you soon, but until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother. Last time you talk to your mother, call your mother. We'll talk to you guys soon, but until then, take it light, but take it.
When you say call your mother, do you go like this? Because you're always on a cell phone. I asked my son, how do you roll down a window? He went like this. Not me. Just saying.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.